So first of all, thank you very much for coming to this gorgeous hotel room. You see that we don't spare expenses, right?
Yeah, you stay in the finest locations.
Definitely, right. You're my witness. You're my witness. When
Yeah.
Scott comes
Yeah.
to me and says,
Yeah.
"Look, how much you spending on hotel rooms? Look, this."
Scott, they stayed at the No-Tell Motel.
Yes. Robert, thank you very much again. And I know that I've been insisting on this meeting for like a couple of years now.
Yes.
Not only to talk about LEB and the great job, the great work that you and your wife is doing, Lynn is doing there, but I'm very curious about MISAC. It's just like, it was very close. MISAC was very close to Electric Dreams. It was like in Hawthorne, kind of Inglewood over there. Inglewood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the chance to meet Roger Moon, who was literally the guy who closed the shop when it closed. Yesterday we were at the Simeon Museum and we saw the Cobra Daytona Coupe from Jim Russell. That Jim Russell used to probably go there with that thing. And everything kind of connects. We have Roger Moon, we have Roger Uristalo. I met, you need to start to remember the names. I met the guy who was helping Roger Moon with the collection.
Right.
What's his name? Yes, that one. And I keep meeting those guys, and I know that nobody's getting younger, and this seems like the history of this is kind of dying. And for me, it was the coolest club, Slotcar club ever.
It was a wonderful club.
Wonderful club, right? And just at the museum, we have the picture of the guys from the Ruski team with the suits behind the MISAC.
Mike Morrissey and everybody.
Operation booth, the race control booth. And Scott has in the museum one of the suits.
That's great.
So this kind of stuff is very so close. Like when Roger passed, we got a hold of those trophies. We have all the trophies from the MISAC, even the bad ones, the concourse ones, and you have all the trophies at the museum. So it's very close to me. Fascinates me the history about it, the way that you guys watch a race on Sunday and on Wednesday you have the replica of the car from Riverside. It's exactly the same car to race. The track that has multiple directions, I have like 9 different circuits on that track. So everything fascinates me, and it's you're the very first who sits here to me to talk about it. So tell me what it was MISAC for who doesn't know, and when you started, when you got it. And
I was, relatively late into MISAC because I was in school. I was going to UCLA, and I was a pro slot car racer, and that's how I earned my money to go to college. I was, out there, racing, making some money racing slot cars, and that's how I went to UCLA. I was going to be a weatherman. That didn't quite work.
Weatherman?
Yeah. It was back in the 70s. What a great job.
Be a presenter like news.
Yeah, like Dr. George Fishbeck in L.A. was for years. You could be wrong 80% of the time and still keep your job. It was, it was a wonderful way to go. But at that time, when I was doing that, I got a call from John Wessels, who was working with Jim Russell at K&B Aurora in Downey, and they had a part-time job one summer. They wanted someone to work on making a Formula One HO slot car. And, he said, come on in. Well, we'll have you work and do that.
How old were you at that time?
I was 21.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been in the toy business ever since. And you can see what being in the toy business has done for my hairline.
Oh, yeah. I not only can see, but I can feel it.
But I went to work, for them to design a formula car. And the first one I built didn't run right. And I started, working on inline, obviously, because of pancake cars, there's no room to put one in there. And every one I built was awful until I finally found an old Versatech slot car motor and took the magnets out of them and sat there and hand sanded them down to fit in an 020 Mabuchi motor size. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, it was like Alexander Graham Bell moment when he said, "Watson, come here." I took the car, turned it upside down, it didn't fall off.
Okay, this magnet helps.
Yeah, I know Felipe had done another version of that car, for somebody else, but I guess it's the first time it was truly monetized as far as a car. And moreover than performance, it addressed the biggest issue that the cars didn't stay on the track.
Yeah, and especially at that scale, it's very hard. It's frustrating when it goes on.
And Tyco had a faster car at the time, and it performed really well. And they were our prime competition. We were fighting each other at every major retailer back then: Sears, Montgomery Ward, Kmart, all those guys. So when we came up with Magna Traction, it was a game changer as far as performance. And that was a big moment.
I didn't know that you were involved in that.
Yeah,
very cool.
My very first job in the toy industry.
Figuring out age-old Slotcars.
Yeah.
But how did you get this job if you were involved with journalism?
I'm sorry?
How did you get this job if you were involved with journalism? You were being the weatherman, and how you ended up in the engineer department?
Well, I was a pro slot racer. I knew John from Dynamic.
Okay.
Back in the late '60s, I was out there, working with him on some stuff at Dynamic in the old die-cast chassis stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew each other, and Jack Garcia knew me. Jack was a joy to work with back then. And Jim Russell was there, and then we hired Sucres, and but between the four of us, we had a very collaborative team of people. I couldn't have done my job without them. It was a great team effort.
So Sucres was involved with the Aurora AFX since the '60s till almost when he passed.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember Jim Russell calling up Jim Kirby back in the New York office of Aurora and says, "Send your best racer out here with his best car. I got a race for you." So Kirby shows up with a Super 2 car. I cleaned his clock with
good
with a Formula One that had magnets in it.
Yeah.
The very first sample I built was out of styrene. It kind of just crumbled after about 3 hours of running because it was so weak.
It was good, yeah.
But then John and Jack did all the engineering to fix it and get it to a manufacturable state.
No.
And I think so much of this, I credit to Jim Russell and his vision of what slot car racing was. I look at it, with Rusket, his controller is still used today.
Yeah.
That's what, 60 years, 70 years?
Yeah, exactly the same handle.
Yeah.
And it was just like enclosure to protect yourself of the resistance and everything that was involved, so you don't have the wires showing up. It's just like enclosure.
Yeah.
Super simple and very
the Rusket style controller has been proven to be the winner over the years. So Jim was the inspiration behind it. He was running the model airplane engine group, and that's where they were K&B had Aurora and they had K&B airplane engines.
Yeah.
And
K&B I think was in Culver City, right?
No, they were all in Downey. It was one.
Downey too?
Yeah, the machine shop and everything.
There was one shop
Downey.
on National Boulevard that was very close to a house that I lived in. I think it was Dynamic, maybe.
They were in the Valley.
The Valley?
Yeah.
Somebody was there. So. It's very cool because when you see the old packagings, they have the full address there.
Yeah.
And it's okay, I know where it is.
But back when I started racing in the '60s.
Where were you racing in California?
Well, my very first slot car set was an Eldon set. That the first thing I did was hook up my train transformer and jack the voltage up.
Okay.
So that was the very first thing I did, and then I went out to a commercial track, which was the nearest one to our house, and it was the Kosher Puppy Raceway next
I heard about it.
Yeah, next to CBS Studios.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yeah, I told you about that one. That was a riot race in there.
But it was an outdoor
track,
outdoor
dirty
track.
as can be. Launch ramp off the bank turn into somebody's hot dog. It was great. So that became, eventually he moved it up onto Melrose, and that was when Bernie's Raceway a Go-Go was going.
Okay.
And I kept racing there. Then I'd go out to Santa Monica to Classic Speedway,
Culver City,
which became Classic
Speedwash with the same lettering. They just inverted the Y with the A.
I know, that was great. I love that.
So I have a story about that. One day I was living very close to that, and one day I was passing by and then demolishing the building. I said, "Oh my God!" So I stopped the car. Who's the responsible of this? Oh, we're doing this. So I found the guy. Where's the sign? Oh, it's not here anymore. I tried to find the sign. I found the new owner. I found the older owner. I spoke with the guy who sold it. I went there like 4 times just to get the classic Speedway sign.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. They trashed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big track. You know, and I wasn't even old enough back then to drive. My mom or my grandmother had to drive me to the track every time. So that's how I got started. And then I started, racing in local tracks out in the valley and stuff. And I heard there was a pro race out in West Covina, and I'd never been to one. So it was a Formula car race, and I got a motor from Circle T Raceway, which was pretty decent. My first race, I qualified for the A main, Pro A main.
Good. That's a good start.
And then Mike Morrissey says, "I have an opportunity for you."
Okay, good. Got a contract.
Yeah,
young driver contract.
Exactly. Good. That's how I racing for Mike, and that's how I got started in pro racing.
How hard was to get the parts?
You made everything basically,
but the chassis and the motors.
Chassis, you soldered them all up yourself, and technology wasn't what it is today, so you just kind of winged it, back then.
But the bodies and motors, this kind of stuff you need to buy, right?
Yeah, you buy bodies, back then Lancer was still making stuff, Associated was just starting to make stuff, and the first Lexan bodies were available.
But how hard was to get as a young driver? Like, you need to save a lot of money. Was it expensive to someone?
It was expensive. That's why I was glad I was being sponsored.
Okay. It seems like it's too cheap now. Everything's too cheap, right?
Not necessarily,
Don't you think?
I think Roger Penske once said it best: that speed costs money. How fast do you want to go?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but the way that I feel, and then I'm going to cross because we haven't started talking about MISAC yet, but it's just too much stuff available. And I think people give the value. I remember when I started in the 90s, to get a new gear, the pink PSC gear, I saved money for a month, I got the gear. Finally, the guy gave me the gear, installed in my car. I felt like very good. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we ended up, back then when I was pro racing, there was pretty much a given set of parts we all kind of used. Back then it was Foss gears and stuff like that. So we all kind of
go to the same direction.
Yeah, all went the same way as far as design work. But so I was doing that for a while and still going to school. And then Aurora called me up, and then they decided to move the Slotcar R&D back to New York, and when that happened is when I stopped racing at MISAC. I started racing at MISAC when I joined Aurora. So I was still racing pro at the time, still at the same time building my B sedan. I had a Datsun 510 B sedan back then. I was working on that, and then racing slot cars on Thursday nights with the boys. I was the youngest guy there.
Okay, good.
That's why I'm still standing.
There's other people. Dan Wilson, what's his name?
Yeah.
Dan Wilson.
Yeah.
Victor. Victor Ferguson, right?
Yeah. So, that's when I got started racing there. So it was only a couple of 3 years at MISAC because they transferred me. I had no choice, but I had to leave. But I loved racing there because the diversity of the tracks.
Yeah.
The fact that you had 8 different layouts that you ran them in different directions.
16 then.
Yeah, 16. The permutations were amazing.
Yeah.
And
was it easy to change the direction?
Very easy.
Yeah,
very easy. There was flip-top sections like in the bank turn area where you just spun the track over, as well as the sliding sections.
I didn't know about the flips.
And They did a brilliant job when they built that because the variance in the track, it was hills and valleys and all kinds of stuff. It was great.
And the place was beautiful too, right? I can see the carpeting, everything was nice.
Well, it wasn't carpeting there when I was there.
No?
It had kind of gone a little bit south as far as that goes, but it was okay.
So you guys racing every Wednesday night?
I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember.
You just
Wednesday.
meet there and whatever it is.
Yeah, we all had a key, so I'd go down and practice.
With the racing car number on it, right?
Yeah, I was number 13. If you see all my race cars I run today, they're still number 13, and I put MISAC decals on my cars.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And
So you guys meet over there, whoever it is, you race, and that's
yeah,
it.
and we had, they set up, the Rust Cup, which would be, a semi-annual kind of program where you would have X number of 4 classes of cars you would race over that period of time. And we'd mix them up and vary them. It would be 32nd scale Formula One and versus, Can-Am 24th or Trans Am. We'd do cars, classics we would do. So you always had different classes and different challenges to build because, at that point I was racing pro, and building pro slot cars became pretty straightforward. This was a new challenge because
Now you need to care about the looks and how accurate it is.
that was the hard part for me. I mean,
Amen.
you look at your pro cars and they're not the same as
Not the
what
same, man.
you got judged. Ed Hooton would run tech, and he would sit there with a check sheet, and he would judge how many points you got for each thing, whether it was the wheel inserts, the driver detail, the mirrors, suspension. Didn't matter what it was always checked. And you had to build it plus or minus 2 scale inches. And he
Yes.
measured it, and you had to show up with the data. You had to show up with the data.
I heard Roger telling me that people were watching. Roger told me one time that people were there watching the races in the riverside and just rushing to home just to finish the model to have it ready for Wednesday with all
Yeah.
the measurements and everything else.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like a guy in the pit just measuring the decals of
Yeah.
the real car? And
Roger was great because he carved all those bodies himself.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
a lot of Porsches.
Yeah.
917.
Yeah.
And a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful work. He was an artisan. I really appreciated his work.
Yeah.
And
He worked for Thomas Guide.
did he?
Yeah. So he was the guy going to the hill and designed the streets of LA. Can you
That's
imagine
back
that?
when we had the book.
Yeah, the book. Yeah. Not far long ago. Not far long ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Thank you, GPS, for that.
So we raced and we different classes in different directions, and it was always fun. And I invited one time. I was racing with Lee Gilbert back then, and I asked him, you want to come over and try this one out? I'll build you a car. We were racing 24th Can-Am cars that night, so that was
But
easy.
was that easy to get invited? I heard it was a little bit more exclusive.
Yeah, it was very exclusive, unless you were a member or knew somebody who could vouch for you. Basically, they didn't want anybody under 21 years of age
Okay.
to be a member because of the responsibility of having a key and having the facility,
Yeah, okay.
which I thought was fair and reasonable. So
And who owned the building? Was it like a rental?
it was a
or-
rental building.
Okay.
In
And
in
Jim Russell
Inglewood.
was kind of the president of the club, right? He was
When
the
it started,
organizer.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then basically, as Jim's role at Aurora was growing, I think Ed did more of the management side of it.
Mm.
But it was great. I loved racing.
Roger
there.
had some spare lap counters. This is German box, super precise.
Oh yeah,
But I don't think that was the ones used on the track because those are new in the box, so they probably got spares.
yeah. The ones on the track had that big control panel. It was amazing the wiring job that those guys did back then. We're spoiled, with our current system. It's plug and play basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take
I didn't know that they have a flip on the track.
Oh yeah, they were great. There was several flips, and if you get a layout, I'll show you where they were, and directions. We raced at. The hill climb was always fun, where all the lanes got narrow as you went up the hill, and it was a game of chicken heading up there.
Yeah. So
And if you launched, you were on the floor.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean the elevation change. You were the top of the track was 5 feet in the air.
Okay.
At the top of the hill climb, you were 5 feet off the ground. And then, at the lowest point, it was probably about 2.5, 3 feet off the ground. So there were some big transitions in altitude on that track. It was a lot of fun.
At Roger found the forms. If you want to join, you have like forms where you play, and they have he has all the spreadsheets and binders and everything that you can find. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? I think Victor has it right
Yeah,
now.
I got a set of the rules at home too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you have any other memory at home from MISAC?
We had endurance races back then too. It was a 4-hour like Le Mans type race with some of it in the dark. But keep in mind that in 1973, you had green and wheat light bulbs,
Oh yeah.
and you had batteries
On the cars, yeah, I saw that.
and batteries in the cars.
I saw some bodies from Roger with the batteries on it. He had a car that he put on a box as soon as it ended. So it's all beaten up with the
Yeah.
lights and everything else.
Yeah, those are fun races. Basically the track had no power. It wasn't a high-powered track. You're not running on car batteries. You're running on 12 volts and minimal amperage. So basically, like Group 20 armatures and stuff back from the day were the thing, and that was always a big challenge. Making the Formula One 32nd scale cars run was probably the biggest challenge.
Tiny tube ones. Yeah.
You had to use an SP40, which is a Mabuchi with little skinny magnets that guaranteed to burn up because the end bell melted.
Guaranteed. 10 laps max.
Yeah. So.
But those days are cool. Even in the 90s, you have the risk of your motor getting burned, and then there's another risk. Today, nothing's gonna happen.
I mean, went back. Back in the pro racing days, you were changing motors between heats. A guy sat there with a glove on, took a roasting hot motor out, and slammed a new one in, and you kept going.
I kind of did that a lot on Group 20 wing race in Brazil.
Well, it's a wing race. We didn't have wing races back then. We had a spoiler. It was more like the retro guys.
The little spoiler.
So
why do you think it ended?
I think it was the rent was going up. I think the area was changing, and
The area changed a lot.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad to be there with a group of people. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main thing, and I think everybody just kind of drifted their own ways. That was it. Today I think the modern clubs, like some of the guys that Stephen Farr Jones does and stuff. He's got beautiful tracks and things, and that's the next generation of what MISAC is. So I think that's great. And plus today's cars are beautiful. I mean, the detail on a modern 32nd or 24 scale slot car that is not designed for shop racing is absolutely fabulous. I mean, these are die-cast quality, which is pretty amazing.
Much more reliability, comes ready to go.
Oh yeah,
cheap as hell.
Yeah, the price. They're good price value. I mean, it's something that nobody ever keeps in mind. My toy career continued, so I've been in the toy industry ever since. So I manufacture a lot of stuff in China. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind that if you have a car body that has 25 or 30 decoration operations because they're tampo printing or spraying or this, that there's potentially a 5% defect rate for each operation. So you do each operation. So you do the mathematics of that. You have to, these people have to be very careful when they're building these things. So there's a lot of good engineering, on the development side of it. I mean, the quality. You look at Fly, you look at everybody. They're gorgeous. They're works of art.
We're making my job easy here because we smoothly transition to modern cars, and then we can talk about LEB and your operation. How long have you guys been working on it?
LEB was founded by my wife. It's her business. She's.
So why are you doing this, Carlos? Call in. We don't need him.
Yeah, you need Lynn. Lynn is wonderful. She's great. And this all got started back when Ed Gershowitz was running Carrera. And they had a bunch of old Pro X stuff and cars and things that they wanted to get rid of. And I said, "Oh, my wife's selling some dolls on eBay. Let her go out
and start with this
and just dump these for you, and we'll split the profits." I said, "Okay, that sounds like a good deal."
Okay.
And that's how it started. And then we started buying stuff direct from Carrera. And over the years, Lynn has built this business to one of the premier.
So LEB are her initials.
Yep.
There you go.
Bernhard.
There you
go. Yeah. And she's, she does a great job, and we're not a giant operation, but we're
one of the biggest players around here. Let's focus on it.
And we strive to give everybody, the best customer service humanly possible, because, from my experience of racing these things for so many years, you realize that not everybody knows how to take care of them, and a modern slot car is not 100% maintenance free. Even if you're just a guy who likes to race around his home track, You got to check the brushes. You got to lubricate it. You got to keep the tires clean. All those things.
It's a moving toy.
Pardon?
It's a moving toy.
Yeah, exactly. And, stuff wears out. And so, helping people, with that has been key to, Lynn's success with the business, because I've always had my jobs in the toy industry and toy companies I've either started or worked for. My job has always been the tech side and getting free parts so I could race.
She pays with parts. Here's a gear for you.
No, it's great though. Yeah, and it gives me a chance to really actually, try the products we sell.
Yeah.
And we can provide service to our customers, understanding that we race these things. We know what your problems are. Someone calls and wants to troubleshoot.
I just got my ass beaten by this guy here from me.
Yeah,
so
you did.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this is a slotted Group C Porsche inline, Sidewinder actually, that we just raced at Great Traditions at the Reach, right?
Yes.
Last Wednesday. I got my ass beaten, but I did good. I was 4th or 5th.
You did good with it. I lent you a car.
I got one of your cars to race.
Yeah.
So this car here, we're going to open up and show what you did to this.
Sure.
And if you want to see it, it's going to be a link below this video, and then you go for it. But okay, sorry for the interruption.
No problem. And that's one of the things I like about the Wednesday Night Racers Club that I race in every week, is that we have the diversity of cars we run, which is wonderful. I mean, every week, every quarter we go through, and basically there's 13 weeks. There's 26 different cars that we race.
Hold on. Every quarter?
Every quarter we change
okay.
We change what we do. Who has what combination of cars. But basically it's around 20, 25 or 26 cars that we change every week that we race. So you can take your collection and enjoy it, And, Rich has been, founded basically was a lot of, the club. And the guys have been racing
for 20 years, right?
Yeah. And, it all started at one guy's Revell track, which is we still race on.
The Revell track, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
And the rules are...
The club is called WNR, right?
Yeah, Wednesday Night Racers, WNR.
WNR. And has been around for 20 years, and you guys race at Wednesday nights. Wednesday night seems to be the nights, right?
Yeah.
Like MISAC, a big lose over there is the Wednesday night. You guys here. And you have 6 or 7 tracks around here?
Yeah, there's several tracks we race
I heard
at.
there's one is a little bit far away.
Yeah, one's up in Easton, which is, not that far, but, that's a more of a MISAC kind of track. It's got scenery and stuff. Bill does a beautiful job on that. And then, we have a couple Carrera tracks we race on, and then a Revell track.
Yeah, Revell track, yeah.
And in years past, there were some wood tracks that were in the loop until people moved or did other things. But it's really nice. And we have general rules which keep it pretty reasonable. The fact that most of our tracks are plastic.
Yeah.
We have magnetic downforce rules, which kind of, limits the craziness is what you can do to get them run better. Since I'm the magnet man, they really watch.
So you're the one who's taking a look at it. So people try to lower the pod or try to get a better motor.
Yeah, of course. If you give me the spec, I'll build to the spec.
Jeez, racing is that. Find the loophole.
Yeah. It's the way it is. It's interesting, because if you look at from NSR, their tech set that they sent out, that pretty much eliminated everybody's way of tweaking the pod and bending this and bending that.
I saw that. Yeah, that's a good tool. I should start using more of that thing.
And like on your track, Electric Dreams, you have a 0.8 millimeter gap.
Clearance,
you get the magnets pretty low. I imagine if you put one of those rare earth motors in there, it runs really good.
Yeah, actually, this is the next class that we're racing LMP now. And last year we say it's a 25K motor, you can use whatever we want. And then of course somebody found out the neo magnets, and then the car was just
yeah.
And then I say, okay, now
that's where the downforce rule is the equalizer. And one of the club members at Wednesday Night Racing, Bob Cuss, who's really a good tech guy. He kind of sets the guidelines for us, and it's fun, you know, and you know, and it relates well to LEB. You know, we do our best. You know, we offer, you know, like you do, you know, people, you know, club discounts. So they always
trying to go around.
You know, support those who support you. You know, I mean, you know, because you know the price of a car has gone up dramatically over the last 3 years.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's still very affordable. It
is affordable at today's dollars. Yes.
Yes, it's a dinner with your wife. That's it. It's a one car, and then you see there's.
I don't know where your wife wants to go, but
it's $29. Carl's Jr. Whatever they call here on the East Coast, I don't know. But the thing is, I think the American public, the American audience, they want to accumulate more than cherish one model.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to have 1,500 cars on their garage instead of having 2 or 3 that they really work on it, make it performance, and just like, okay, I'm proud of this car, like you are with this one.
Yeah.
Put your work on it, and you know it's the fastest car. Each lap that I was doing, he was doing 3. So, so I think in general public they want to accumulate more than everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe it's cheap.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're racers, and we wish we could afford the millions of dollars to go out and go race ourselves.
Yeah.
And we can't do it.
Yeah, so we do the miniatures.
Yeah, do the miniatures. And, you know, I'd always been a competitive kind of guy. That's how I got into this whole thing. And I still like the competition, more like the friendship. You know, the guys we race with, you know, we're competitors, but we're all friends. You know, when I build cars, I got no secrets. I take the body off and show them exactly what I did. You know, because it only makes the competition better.
Yeah, we have a series of videos. That's what I'm gonna do with yours. It's called Race Winner. So every time after the race, somebody wins a race, I pick up the car and then open up and show the secrets. So sometimes I go over because this is not a class that we race, like Sidewinder Group C, but I just do it anyway because maybe some club is adopting the Sidewinder race and then you can see a car.
Yeah, our Group C, I'm not quite sure the history of why we ended up Sidewinder. You know, inline is fine by me.
Fine,
you know, but yeah, it is what it is. Those are the rules, and you use all your slotted parts. And
yeah, it ends up you have to expend a little bit more because you need like a new gear, a new pinion, a new pod, a new whatever.
Right.
And then maybe the spirit of getting straight out of the box is not there anymore.
Well, you even if straight out of the box, you know you're going to tear the car apart and flatten the chassis and do all the other work to it anyway. So you know, the difference may be, you know, a few dollars worth of parts, because basically that's pretty much a stock car, except for, you know, things that
But you guys have classes that is stock? Just change the tires?
We race, you know, Carrera cars where where the only swap out is to like a Piranha motor in there, which gives a little more juice, and you know it's plastic wheels and everything else, so it's pretty much a dead stock kind of class. The New Jersey Metro Club, which is another club and regionally I occasionally race at, they're great guys. They tend to run more of a stock class, or they call it super stock, where you can tune the car, you can change the tires, and pretty much stock guides, stock everything else.
Yeah.
So you know they try not to get too crazy, because you don't want to have a situation where you keep spending a fortune to get these things to run.
That's our problem right there. Over there, when we put out our new rule book every year, and what we do is like we take a look on what we did in the previous year and try to adapt. So people are always trying to find gray areas, loopholes, and trying to take advantage of that. So my new rule book is just like new restrictions. So just stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this. You need to use that gear.
If it's not in here, you can't do it.
Yeah, but people still will find like less race than Thefts, which is like a very good racer. He won the race without crashing once. So it was the first time that happened at the store. And it's you know, it's rare to happen.
Yeah.
And I pick up his car to do the video, the race winning video, and then another driver comes in. Did you notice that his car, there is no paint on his car? I say, what do you mean? It's a white kit that he just put like a stripe, because the rule says you need to have a livery and 3 numbers.
Yeah.
So he just put like a decoration stripe and 3 numbers. That's it. So another loophole. Now I need to write the rules. You need to be painted, need to be covered in paint or some sort of material, whatever it was. Jesus.
Yeah, but most guys aren't real talented painters. I mean, I'm not a great artist at painting these things. So most of my cars end up with the Brumos stripe.
Which is just a stripe.
Yeah, but I do primer it first.
Some sort of a chemical goes on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
I can see him. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not a young guy anymore, so it makes it so you can actually find the car on the track.
Stop this division. Oh my God, I'm losing that too. I'm starting to get to the point that I need to do this to see closer. And then,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It only gets worse from here.
Oh yeah. There's no. Talking about optimism, are you optimistic about the future of slot cars?
I am optimistic from the manufacturer side. I think that the manufacturers that are now in it have a pretty good understanding of their audience and what to make for them. I think that that's really good. There's a couple of guys that need to do a little bit of work, but overall, I think that the quality of what is sold is very good, to the consumer in most cases.
Yeah. Maybe one model here and there to help it out.
Yeah.
Maybe a restudy on the pricing.
And the industry has defined categories of racing nicely. Yeah. Which I think is really important.
Yeah, the collectibles, the racing ones, the home racing ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. Our challenge is always to get younger guys, racing. If you go to these races, and it's hard to find more than half the guys that aren't on Medicare. That's always the challenge.
The price is a walker.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I have one that has the really high performance wheels on.
The tennis balls are just like the
right. Ball bearing wheels on my walker.
Okay, good.
But that's the biggest challenge, is to get younger audience.
I have a theory. So those guys that are racing now and very into it, of course they're in the late 60s, 70s, 50s, let's say. Those guys got the bug in the 60s and the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a generation with the bug in the 80s and the 90s.
That's the problem. Yeah. That is the challenge. And part of that is due to technology. Let's be honest, it's video games. You can get a sim racer at home and you really feel like you're racing.
Yeah.
But of course you're going to spend a fortune to do it.
Yeah.
But, I think that what's the collaboration and friendships of racing at a track or at a club is what's important, I think, as much as the cars. We're all racers. We all love to race, but more importantly is the friendships, relationships you make at clubs and stuff, and making people feel at home when they come to Electric Dreams to race on the track. You make them feel like they're part of it and they're home, and they have someone's there to help them. Yeah. And that's the key, and that's where the satisfaction comes in. Yeah, because I think, people today, if they can't figure it out in the first 20 minutes, I don't want to bother.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when we see kids coming in, and I don't want to make this like a complaint or something like that, but I don't see the same value that I've had when I saw the slot car track for the first time. I was drooling. I was just like, oh my God, I need to get a hold of this. It was so hard for me to hold a slot car for the first time. Over that, I just get any car that is sitting there, just crash, run around, and that's fine for me. Let's go back to the iPad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature. That's been a cultural change. It's been a technology change, and there's a place for this, and the place is, I consider, is the owning the car and looking at it, appreciating the deco on it, and appreciating the guy who drove the real one and what he did. So if you're a motoring enthusiast, like many of these guys, like out near you at Thermal and stuff, they own race cars. They leave them out there, and after work on Friday, they're going down Interstate 60 to go out and go race their car. Yeah. That's the guy who's also going to want to race a slot car in his house. So I think you have to get the relationship between real racing and model car racing.
Yes.
And that's the key. And most of our guys, and I'm sure it's true out west, they're motor racing enthusiasts first and foremost. And that has to be, I think, part of the the promotion of the hobby. I think that events at race car tracks with slot cars are nice, but it's limited reach.
Yeah.
I think that social media has done a lot to improve the communication of what slot car racing is and the fun you have doing it.
You don't want to say, but I can say it. We're talking about the presence of in car shows and car races and how you have this limited chance to show what it's about, and you cannot because you're in an environment that doesn't belong. You have a track that is not it. Even your experience with the controller is not what you're going to feel it. And I know one of the big players, one of the big manufacturers did an event with the new release of cars, and we see the pictures. It's not there. It's on me. I can make the critic here. And we do the El Segundo car show, and we have over there probably more people than the Carrera had on their tent at
Watkins Glen,
yeah. And it's very hard for us because we're very close to the store, and we don't know what to do because the first year we thought we were going to sell. We didn't sell nothing. Second year, we say, okay, now we're going to rush traffic to the store, but we couldn't figure out how. Third year, we have some flyers, free hour, free track time, and then happen. I start to see people coming straight from the car show there. Fourth year, which was this year, we couldn't figure out either. We tried to say, okay, let's focus on the mailing list, and you send people there. We're going to have a full team at the store waiting for them. Show up like 3 or 4 people only. We couldn't get the mailing list. So it's you go to those events because you know that those are enthusiasts, the car enthusiasts,
Exactly.
and you want to show the replicas and say, look, you can race this at home, and we can have a club, you can race with us. It's complicated.
It's a real challenge, but you know from your business area, and I know Lynn knows from her business. There's a lot of guys out there who like racing, but they are geographically dispersed all over this large nation.
Yes.
Unlike Europe, Europe has the benefit that
Everybody's close.
Everybody's close by. I mean, you can go from Spain to Italy in 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours driving. Not that bad, It's affordable to go to another race in another country and enjoy it, and they're very enthusiastic, and they're much more a society that's oriented into auto racing.
Yes.
I mean,
each country to their culture.
F1 and rally are front page news over there, and they're not here because there's so much diversity of entertainment.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the challenge. I think that. Celebrity endorsement is good.
Yeah.
Years ago, when I was working in Aurora, I worked there for a long time. I used to go to movie stars' houses and build tracks for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who was the movie star that you want to talk about?
I did Mel Torme. I did a Lucille Ball one.
Lucille Ball. We went to Lucille Ball and put a slot car track there. That's kind of cool.
Did a couple of 3 of them like that. And I think companies like Slot Mods, who makes beautiful tracks, gorgeous tracks.
David Beatty, yeah.
They're spectacular.
Yeah.
And not everybody.
But he focused on the high end.
Yeah, I mean, he's got somebody there who's going to spend 10, 25 grand on a track. It's a different audience.
I think it's a little bit more than that, but okay. Sure. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of people.
It's a different clientele, yeah. It's the guy.
But I think the concept is wonderful. I mean, it was interesting, if you look at some of the tracks that we are sold as a race set, they're not usually a lot of fun to race on.
Yeah. No, it's not. That's my whole point. Like, if you get a full set and put it on your floor, you're not going to have the experience.
One of the best-selling sets that we ever had, back when we, in 43rd scale, was a Go set that Kennedy made. It was absolutely flat.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Kennedy
was
working there at the time.
Bridges for me is a pain.
Yeah. I mean, I see guys track that have multiple layers. I'm going, I just don't crash.
Like a shopping mall parking lot.
Yeah.
Just going like this. What the hell?
But, he built this track, and, people enjoyed racing on it. There was less returns, less problems with it. But oftentimes it happens when people...
At the same time, Carrera had a set with a loop, which is we cannot even put it together. Like a professional, as for a professional to put together, it's going to take 3 hours.
I know. they've gotten better about it. In fact, technology has made track and cars better and better and better, which is great. But we still have those challenges. But I think the key here is when someone gets one home and plays with it, they say, okay, I'm making a figure 8. What do I do now? And I said, buy more straightaway.
Yeah, make it larger, make it bigger. Make 4-lane, whatever they call
Yeah,
my
speed is fun,
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be a challenge because in 15, 20 years, you're not going to have the generation that used to do that.
Right.
Yeah. And but at the same point, we are in a hot market right now. So many new cars coming out, so many new companies coming out, so many companies getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah, the development and the manufacturers have done a fabulous job
in the last
supporting
5 years. I think it's just like a big jump.
Yeah, and I'm sure you see it in your business. We see it in our business.
Yeah.
And these people who buy 30-second scale, we focus on 30-second. That's pretty much LEB's business. But we make sure we support them with the parts and service that they need to keep the cars running and have fun with them, and that's the key.
Yeah.
We
have a challenge ahead, but you feel optimistic about it.
I'm optimistic. I certainly know that we have our challenges. But I think that as things have gotten better as far as what we sell, that's made our job a little easier. There was a period there, I'd say, 15, 20 years ago when the stuff was just not very good.
Yeah. The product itself, right? Yeah, returns and breakings and no spare parts.
Yeah, and AFX has done a nice niche in HO. They make beautiful cars. I'm glad to see that Steve follows in his father's footsteps to make cars that are as realistic as humanly possible. I mean, that's the magic of it, is that these cars, if you have any kind of imagination, you can see in your own mind's eye that you have a race car running around the track.
Oh yeah. You can project yourself on it. Like I grew up watching Senna, and when I go to far out to race, my Formula 1 car is a Senna car, and I can see the car coming around and overtaking. I can feel that back. Yeah.
So I think those are really those are the kind of things that I think we need to do as an industry. I think that the commercial raceways are now supporting more of the hard body racing, more of racing, ready to run cars.
Yeah, replica racing or something.
Yeah, replica racing is a good way to put it, and that's very positive. I think that these major race events like the ones that you hold and we do in Canada for the nationals and stuff, those are important. They're important to the hobby enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But there's the hobby home racer is where I think that your business and everybody else's business. That's the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah. But I think those events, the home racer that never is going to come to race a professional race or an event like that, he's looking for that. Say, okay, this is popular. We're vouching for them. Yeah. There's so many people involved in this. That's pretty cool. What I do here is pretty cool.
You have 75 guys show up for a race, and from all over the world. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the geography of America makes it challenging for us.
Maybe we shouldn't see this as a one thing. Maybe we should see this as like in Europe, that some parts do rally, some parts do LMP, some parts do.
And there's probably not enough support. I think that the club network is probably the most important thing from perspective of all of the retailers. To help support them.
Yeah, we should talk and get to find a way to get more clubs out there.
Clubs are the key.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the people who are enthusiasts and buy multiple cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
adopt classes and start to figure out more stuff and get really into it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not only the guy who's going to put the track away after Christmas and that's it.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
was very good. I think the MISAC stuff, of course, we can talk like for 5 hours. I have so many questions. The key,
that was great.
The key.
Are we off camera now?
No, we're not. We continue doing. But yeah, it's thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming here.
My
I know it was a
pleasure.
little bit complicated because we're running out of time, and
Not a
we couldn't do
problem.
yesterday on the restaurant.
Yeah, well,
so.
that kind of got to be chaos, but that's okay.
So
You
thank
know,
you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.